The white bird might be the most important missing airplane in history.
No piece of the plane is ever found.
It's like the Bermuda Triangle of the Northeast.
Hey, Josh, I got a hit over here. You got something? Whoa, whoa, whoa! Look at this! That's an airplane wreck.
When it comes to exploration, some daring pioneers make history, while others shape the future. In 1927, Charles Lindbergh becomes the first person to fly from New York to Paris nonstop in the spirit of St. Louis. His feat turns him into a global icon and charts a course for America's dominance in commercial air travel. But history and the future were almost very different. Just 2 weeks before Lindbergh's historic flight, French pilot Charles Nungesser and navigator François Colli attempt the crossing in the opposite direction, aboard a plane known as the Luceau Blanc, or the White Bird. Thousands gather to watch their triumphant landing in front of the Statue of Liberty. Except the plane never arrives. It vanishes without a trace. One of the largest search and rescue operations in history comes up empty-handed. It was assumed that the White Bird never made it across the Atlantic, but now, newly discovered evidence suggests that it may have reached North America. One expert is targeting the wilderness of Newfoundland, where a fragment of metal could prove the plane broke apart in a remote pond. And another group thinks they've tracked the plane's final flight to a secluded forest in Maine. So prepare for takeoff on an historic mission to discover the fate of a flight and two heroic pilots who dared to change the world. My name is Džoš Gejts.
Hello!
Explorer. Adventurer.
Amazing!
Wow! And a guy who ends up in some very strange situations.
Whew, that was exciting.
With a degree in archaeology and a passion for the unexplained, I travel to the ends of the earth, investigating the greatest legends in history.
Okay, let's punch it.
This is Expedition Unknown.
Today, we think nothing of flying between Europe and the United States. Every day, thousands of planes crisscross above the vast waters of the Atlantic. But you have to remember, it was less than a century ago that this feat, a non-stop flight across the pond, it had never been accomplished. And it was something that many people thought was downright impossible.
In fact, in 1927, very few people ever had the chance to fly in a biplane. Today, well, same thing. There's not many of them left from the early 20th century.
You all ready?
I am ready. Let's fly. Woo-hoo! It's magic. It's magic. Amazing. Woo! This is a Travel Air 4000 biplane. It was built in 1928, the year after the disappearance of the White Bird. A lot smaller, a different design, but it gives you an idea of the reality of aviation nearly a century ago.
To find the White Bird, we have to understand the era in which she flew. In 1919, aviation was still highly experimental. To spark innovation, French-American hotel mogul Raymond Ortigue offered up the Ortigue Prize, $25,000 to the first aviator to travel nonstop between New York and Paris. By 1927, 5 teams had made attempts. All failed in test trials or during takeoff, with planes too heavy for the journey. 4 pilots already lay dead.
On May 8, 1927, 2 daring French aviators, Nungesser and Colli, attempted to capture the prize by flying in a custom-built biplane to soar into the pages of history.
The White Bird was based on the Levasseur PL-4 reconnaissance biplane, but was extensively modified. The wings were lengthened, The fuselage was widened and reinforced, creating enough room for the pilots to sit side by side. The landing gear was designed to detach, saving weight, but forcing the plane to land on water. Meanwhile, 3 fuel tanks carrying a little over 1,000 gallons of gas were all they had to get to New York. This is how Charles Nungesser and Francois Colli flew for more than 30 hours straight, at a top speed of just 120 miles an hour. Today, we seal ourselves inside metal tubes and shut ourselves off from the sky. But this is the purest expression of flight I've ever experienced.
Nice flying, Baptiste.
Thanks. Thank you.
Vive la France.
Feeling properly awed, we wing our way back to the hangar, and I head into the city to continue my search. As for Nungesser and Colli, they aren't exactly household names in America, but here in Paris, they seem to be everywhere. Commemorated in street names, memorial parks, hell, there's even an entire restaurant themed in their honor.
This is the Lusso Blanc restaurant and bar on the rooftop of the Peninsula Paris Hotel. It is a wall-to-wall celebration of the pioneering spirit of our 2 daring aviators. It has sweeping views of the Eiffel Tower, a replica of the White Bird perched above the city, and a Michelin star menu. So, you know, I might be here a while.
All of this has me asking one very important question. Who were these guys? I reluctantly leave my 5-star meal behind and head to Le Bourget Airport, just north of Paris. This is where the White Bird took flight and where Charles Lindberga landed 2 weeks later. Today, it's home to France's stunning Air and Space Museum. In ours, we have the Spirit of St. Louis. They have a Concorde, the supersonic airliner which crossed the Atlantic in just 3.5 hours. I'm here to meet Marion Wickerly, who oversees the museum's collection of more than 400 historic planes.
Okay, there's one plane I want to talk about that's not here, which is the Lusso Blanc, the White Bird. Let's start with Nungesser and Colli. Looking at photos of them, they look like something out of a movie, you know? Who were these guys really?
So Charles Nungesser was a World War I fighter ace pilot, and he shot down 43 German aircraft during the war.
Wow.
And that score made him one of the deadliest French aces.
And Colli?
Colli was actually a sailor, and he began the war as a lowly infantry private.
Colli worked his way up to pilot and even squadron commander. But when in 1918 he lost one of his eyes in a plane crash, he instead became a skilled navigator.
People here really loved these guys, right? They were heroic characters in France.
Yeah, they were national heroes.
So when the 2 of them decide to make this attempt to win the Orteig Prize, is there a lot of confidence in them?
Absolutely, everybody was certain that they would succeed.
May 8th, 1927, they take off from where?
From here, actually, from Le Bourget.
Literally here, right?
Literally
like
here,
in a field right out here.
They took off at dawn at 5:17 a.m. with a big crowd watching them and encouraging them.
Weighed down by its own fuel, the White Bird barely cleared the trees at the end of the runway. A couple of hours later, a priest on the coast of Ireland claimed to have seen the plane, though it's unconfirmed. Having sacrificed their radio to make room for more fuel, after they took off, they were utterly alone. Their intended route would take them 3,630 miles across the open waters of the North Atlantic, eventually reaching the coast of North America over Newfoundland and flying down to New York City.
At what point do people realize there's a problem here?
On the 9th of May, about 40 hours after the takeoff, because at this point it was absolutely sure that they could not have enough fuel to still be airborne.
Tens of thousands of New Yorkers gathered to watch the White Bird's landing. It never arrived.
What was the response here in France when they disappeared?
A total disaster. People were shocked because everybody was so sure that they would succeed.
No piece of the plane is ever found. Like, no part of the plane survives, right?
Actually, there is one piece.
There's a piece of the plane?
One. We have it right here at the museum.
That's right. We're about to see the only known surviving piece of the White Bird.
Josh, this is the landing gear of the White Bird.
Wow.
This is the actual landing gear.
Yes, absolutely. It was designed to be left behind. It's actually more a taking off gear than a landing one.
This is all that remains of l'Oiseau Blanc, the gear that intentionally fell away from the plane after takeoff to save weight and transformed the aircraft into a flying boat for its landing in New York Harbor.
Crazy, crazy. All right, so now I have a difficult question. Where's the rest of the plane?
The leading theory was at first that they crashed near the French coast, maybe in the English Channel.
So immediately?
Immediately. But there is another theory, which is very intriguing, which is that they actually did cross, but crashed in North America. In fact, several groups have been looking for the plane, and right now, a group in Maine is still looking for it.
In Maine?
In Maine.
All right, well, back across the pond.
The white bird was lost crossing the Atlantic. Now I'm doing it twice. This time I fly from Paris to Bangor, Maine. Known for lobster rolls and lighthouses, the gorgeous state down east is also the home of Stephen King, which means there's a decent chance this whole place is actually cursed. I have an appointment nearby with Peter Nodden, the former president of the Maine Aviation Historical Society, and James Cicchetto, the son of one of the Society's founding members. How you doing? I'm Josh.
James Cicchetto.
Nice to meet you.
Pete Nodden, good to meet you.
Great to meet you as well. Okay, part of what you do is look for lost, wrecked planes, right?
Yeah, there's a group of us that actually document historic crash sites, and we look for missing aircraft.
How many of these missing aircraft have you found?
Just about 50.
50?
Yes.
It's like the Bermuda Triangle of the Northeast.
Why are there so many wrecked planes up here?
There were a lot of military aircraft in this area. There were over 745 military accidents here in Maine.
Wow.
Large, dense woods, a lot of places for airplanes to go down and disappear.
Well, there is one plane in particular I'm very interested in, as you know.
That we're all interested in, yes.
The white bird.
Yes.
Which is also, I guess, kind of a white whale, right?
In many ways,
people
yes.
have been driven mad looking for this
Yeah.
plane. You think it's here in Maine?
Definitely.
Definitely. Okay. Make the case. Why is it here?
Well, it starts with the witnesses.
Wait, there are witnesses?
There are witnesses. May 9th, 1927, there were a group of people that heard an aircraft pass over, which is a very rare thing in 1927.
People have to remember that. In 1927, a plane goes overhead, it's a big deal.
It was a big deal.
Right.
So this is a map of the region we're in right now. The first people to hear the aircraft that morning were the Scotts, a married couple traveling by car. They heard an airplane approach. They pulled over and shut the car off and get out to listen to it pass.
To them, no question, that was a plane.
No question, that was a plane.
Okay.
Shortly thereafter, we have the Magoons up here on their farm who actually saw an unusual white biplane come out of the fog, circled their farm once, and then flew off to the southeast. And the father was concerned enough after the plane flew to the southeast that he organized a search party of neighbors and went searching that area where he believed it had crashed.
I mean, that's really compelling. I mean,
Yes.
what other white biplane is flying around up here in 1927?
Exactly.
And one of the things I'm getting looking at all of this is that there seems to be a consistency. This plane is flying south.
Yes.
The Scotts, the Magoons, and other witnesses all report seeing or hearing a plane moving in a southwesterly direction. So they're on fumes. Came in over Newfoundland. They're not going to make New York.
Yeah, they're not going to make New York. It's possible that the first large body of water that they may have seen to land on would be Tunk Lake right behind us.
This is Tunk Lake.
This is Tunk Lake.
Tunk Lake lies in line with the direction of the aircraft that the witnesses described. And there's another reason Peter and his team have honed in on this location. Now, I see one other flag on this map.
Yes.
Down here, Millet.
Yep, James Millet.
Which is pointing to this lake.
Yes.
So is Millet another eyewitness?
No. He found something really interesting here about 30 years later.
What's Millet's story?
Millet was with a group of hunters staying at a camp right here on this lake. So on one particular day, they go up over a mountain. As they descend down the other side, they decide to stop for lunch. Millet sees a ledge that looks comfortable to sit on, and he discovers part of an engine sticking up out of the ground. He also discovers some pieces of white canvas. He discovers a bone that might have been a human tibia.
Did they note this exact location where this happened?
They did not.
How do you pick up the pieces? How do you find where Millet was?
Millet left behind some clues for us.
Okay, what did he leave behind?
When Millet and his hunting partner got to the top of the mountain, they found a marker that he said was like a U.S. Geological Survey benchmark,
These were markers that were put out as part of topographic surveys. They're all over the country, these things.
Yes.
All right.
And many of the mountains in this area have coastal survey markers on them.
So, obvious question, do any of these coastal markers exist on any of these peaks?
There are 2 of them on mountains that are likely suspect.
And so, have you searched them?
We searched one of them.
One of them. And the other?
You ready for a hike in the Maine woods?
Hell yes, I am. Let's do it. Come on. The wreckage spotted by Millet nearly 3/4 of a century ago was left behind and has never been found. If it is airplane wreckage, there's every chance it's from the White Bird. We board a boat and speed across Tunk Lake toward the peak that may have a geologic marker matching what Millet described. Waiting at the base of the hill, though, is someone I never knew I was dying to meet.
Want to introduce you to the owner of the dock.
Hi, I'm Lee Berg.
Hi, Lee. Nice to meet you. I'm Josh.
Nice to meet you.
Thanks for letting us use the dock.
My pleasure.
You might be familiar with Lee's grandfather.
Your grandfather is?
Admiral Byrd.
Your grandfather is Admiral Richard Byrd?
Yes, yes.
Your grandfather is one of the most famous aviators and explorers ever. One of the biggest names in the history of polar exploration. Pioneering American aviator Richard Byrd was the first person to fly over both the North and South Poles. Like Nungesser and Koji, Byrd wanted to claim the Orteig Prize. Unfortunately, his plane was damaged during a test flight from which he barely walked away.
Meanwhile, Lindberga came along, and so my grandfather offered him the field to take off in and gave him his navigational instruments to make the flight.
It's insane. Your grandfather, and I mean this is the highest compliment, was nuts.
Well, he was.
I mean, he was. He did the most amazing stuff.
Yeah, he did, but he always really calculated it all out, and it's amazing he survived.
That is the ultimate It's a Small World.
It is.
It is.
You never know who you're going to meet in the woods of Maine.
Good luck.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
All right.
I'm speechless. Here we go.